It's 7:40. We got severe weather. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, sponsored by Marco's Pizza. What's the difference between an extreme heat warning and a heat advisory? We're going to talk about that, but we have more important things, more pressing things to look at, and that's the severe weather that's happening right now. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Bertie County, Chowan County until 8 o'clock. And I last checked, it's 7:40, it's almost 7:41. This is a particular storm that's moving to the south about 20 miles per hour, so we'll just do a quick track on it per se. And since it's moving to the south about 20, we can just do a little trek here, move it down in the direction of Plymouth, and we get to 20, tell me when we get to 20. 20 right there, let's drop it. Looks like it's around Woodward at 7:45, Plymouth at 7:52. This has the potential of producing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, a lot of lightning, and because of the high humidity factor, it's also going to produce a lot of rain, in locally heavy rain. It should be around Jamesville at 8:08. So we got some towns at the top left here. Just wanted to let you know what we're seeing and to let you know that this too shall pass. We're going to continue to see these storms move southward. That's the trend anyway. So move this to this side of the screen so you can see this goes until 8 o'clock. Hail size about 0.75. And it's got people affected just under 1,000. So about 1,000. This is south of Edenton. And if you're needing some more orientation, because I did do a quick zoom in there, this is Edenton right over here. And it's really pretty much south of Edenton now. But if we do a little check, we go back over the last, let's go back over the last 30 minutes. I think that would be helpful. Let's just rewind the tape. I'm going to scrub it backwards. And so we're going backwards here, but you can see this is really, it kind of moved over Edenton, maybe the worst of it to the west of the city. But you can see those lightning bolts really headed in the direction of Woodward and those towns, Plymouth at 7:52 and Darden's at 8:01. Now, we got that covered. Also want to thank my sponsor, because I can't do this without a sponsor. My friends at Marco's Pizza is giving away free cheesy bread. That's one of the cool things. They've got 5 contest locations. Check it out. I think you'll be impressed with what they're offering. They've got magnificent pizza. That is actually, you could win free for a year by winning a certificate. We're going to give the winner away tomorrow. We'll talk more about that coming up. But one of the cool things is the cheesy bread. If you use the promo code at Marcos.com, of course, go to the Marcos.com and put in WTKR cheesy, you can win one of the free cheesy breads they're giving away. Up to 104 now, because that was the heat index on Monday, and absolutely no purchase necessary. I think that's cool. I wanted to make this a weather party. This was probably the best way, since I find pizza, and Marco's Pizza specifically, a comfort food. That might be something that you're interested in, and I hope you'll check them out, because again, Marco's gives back quite a bit to our community. So severe thunderstorm warning here. We expand the view, and you can see around the country there's more orange polygons in the panhandle of Florida, also into places like South Carolina, and even some severe weather in parts of Wisconsin at the moment. But right now we're going to be watching until 8 o'clock, that one for Bertie and also Chowan County. Temperatures off the chart. My goodness, another day in the triple-digit heat feels like category. It feels like 101 in Manio, feels like 101 in Chesapeake, and even though it's been raining in parts of North Carolina, it still feels like it's about 93 in Elizabeth City and 101 in Franklin. I'm kind of curious, how are you staying cool? Do you have a solution? Do you have any kind of, what am I looking for? A solution. I'm looking for maybe something that we could stay cool. I'm looking at some of these comments that might be coming in. Let's see. I got Karen Robbins. She says, wow. I think she was talking about ice water. So if the hot weather doesn't get you, you got to pace yourself. That's all I got to say about that, at least right now. Well, let's keep moving, because one of the things you'll notice, it feels like 108 right now in Suffolk, 102 in Moyock is the feels like temperature. It feels like 98 in Norfolk. So a lot to do, a lot to take in for that amount of heat. Now, as far as records, did we break any records? The answer is yes. We did actually hit a record. Important to note, as we look over here, Wallops Island, 28 years on the books. You hit 98. The record was 94 from 1997. You remember that? I looked it up. That's what I do. It's kind of what I like to do. 94 from 1997. Who was president? Bill Clinton was in the White House. When you hit 94, Wallops Island, You hit 98 today. When you break a record, not by like you tie it or break it by 1 degree, you took it out 4 degrees. 98. It wasn't even close. Now Norfolk hit 95. That was the hottest Norfolk's had all year so far, but it felt like 104, kind of like what we were doing with cheesy bread. It was 95, but it felt like 104 today. When the record is 100 back in 1952, back when Harry S. Truman was president. How about that? You like those facts and figures? That's what I like to. That was 73 years ago, David. You're full of facts and figures. That's what I like to do. Now, as far as the difference between a heat advisory and an extreme heat warning, technically, we're under this extreme heat warning from the National Weather Service until 8 o'clock tonight. And what happens after 8? Well, it's like Cinderella and turns midnight, the pumpkin, or the carriage turns back into a pumpkin. No. There's nothing magical that happens at 8:01, which is just a few minutes from now. What's going to happen is they're going to change it to a heat advisory, and it's all about criteria. If you worked with the Weather Service, you received their products. They're all about criteria, thresholds, and parameters. They consider 110 worthy of an extreme heat warning, but they think of a heat advisory as 108. Semantics? Academic? Probably so. But in your mind, my mind, the way I want to communicate this to you is that if you're not used to this heat yet, it's going to continue like this for several more days. There's not much difference between a heat advisory, which runs from 11 to 7 tomorrow, and the extreme heat warning. A difference of 2 degrees of feels like temperatures. 110 versus 108. I mean, for max. It really is semantics. But I would encourage you that if you haven't found a cooling place, one place I would suggest is the local library. Another place would be a grocery store, a movie theater. You could go check out a movie, a bucket of popcorn, and watch a cool movie in the air conditioning that they provide. Or a shopping mall. Just maybe do some steps in the shopping mall. No one's going to stop you from doing that, but you got to stay cool, and you got to check on, in my opinion, check on your family, your relatives, and your neighbors, because we're all about neighborhoods here. I talk about these neighborhoods I visited personally, and I'm going to be adding to them very soon, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's get back to the heat advisory. This is dangerous heat. We kind of established that. One thing you'll note in terms of the hot weather that's affecting all of us down to the southeast, we can be easily overcome by exhaustion or stroke. Talking about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And the symptoms are on the screen. Faint or dizzy on the left, throbbing headache on the right. Excessive sweating on the left, no sweating on the right. I mean, they could be easily confused, but if you see these symptoms occurring with you or someone you know, it's very important that you take care of each other, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? It could lead to nausea, it could lead to vomiting, it could lead to a rapid, strong pulse on the stroke side, or even you could lose consciousness. Now think about that. Imagine if you lose consciousness, you've got to call. Who do you call? Not Ghostbusters. You call 911. This is why I want to say that you've got a lot to take in when you have this kind of heat. This is the #1 killer, weather-related killer, is heat. People are overcome by heat, and it's slow, but once it wears you down, you'll obviously want to drink plenty of water and drink before you're thirsty. Does that help? I'm just trying to throw out some tips. Mentioned this yesterday. Your dog can also have some signs of it, whether it be glassy eyes, maybe some unsteady legs. I guess this is a corgi here on the screen. But yeah, you get a sense that there could be any number of things that cause the dog to not be perfectly 100%. And if you acknowledge or recognize it early, hopefully then everything will be better off. So that's where things are. I just wanted to kind of bring that to light. I got some other notes here. Let's see here. Who do I have? Some notes. Jamal, he liked my joke. It is about Ghostbusters, I guess. Ed Reams wants to know, what's Ed have here? He has a note. I've been keeping all the blinds and curtains closed, he says, I think it helps a little bit. It's a great tip. It's practical. Ed, you're precisely right. If we close the blinds, we can maybe reduce some of the costs that we have with the air conditioning. But also, as we talked about the neighborhood idea, let's check on each other. Well, just a little, hey, are you okay? Or if you lose electricity, if you lose air conditioning, come over to my house. I'll serve you some coffee, some dessert, something like that. That works too. That's another great tip, I think, as we move down the road. It is now 7:49. I got to keep moving. Yes, there's a severe threat. It's really up to level 3 now east of Atlanta. We've already looked at Chowan and Bertie County till 8, but we have been placed under the level 1 through tomorrow morning, and most of that is going to play its hand, I think, in the next few minutes. We got 10 minutes to 8 o'clock now. There's another threat tomorrow. You'll notice it does not include Duck. What's wrong with Duck? Duck's fine. I'm just saying the Storm Prediction Center basically drew the line right over here, right? So if you're in this area, you're in Roanoke Island or Duck or Corolla, you're not under a level 1. But everybody else to the west, like Franklin, Ahoskie, Eatonton, and the Williamsburg neighborhood will be under level 1 tomorrow, which means you could get some damaging wind like they're getting in parts of Bertie County and Chowan tomorrow. Maybe some large hail. Tornadoes, I do not expect. Repeat, I do not expect tornadoes tomorrow. Severe weather threat Friday is even further to the west. It's like we're splitting the commercial or the TV viewing area in half. Now, some of you might be watching from all over because this is a military town. I get it, you might be watching, but if you're west toward Franklin, Ahoskie, that's level 1 for Friday, for keeping track. Virginia Beach, not so much. Elizabeth City, can we expect some Friday storms of severe nature? No, don't expect that. That's, again, this is coming from the lens of our friends at the Storm Prediction Center. So I wanted to kind of lay that out there. Again, we're back to the radar. Yeah, I want to just revisit this one more time. If you're just joining us, it is now 7:51. We got 9 more minutes. 9 more minutes on this particular storm. And you can see as we zoom in a little bit tighter, this is now trying to get out of and headed toward Plymouth. It's trying to get out of Mary Hill at the moment and working its way down toward maybe Roper, maybe working its way toward Skinnersville, but very heavy rain and potentially some hail coming from this cell. So please be extra careful if you're in this area. Outside of that, it looks okay. Hertford, you're good. Elizabeth City, good. Checking on my neighbors. How about you? Oh, we had some storms. This is over the last 2 hours. But that rain has all been moving north to south, right? North to south is the motion by which this is all moving. So it will be getting out of here. I don't expect it to continue on, but there's a lot of lightning with it. And it's really clear right now as far as storminess. Wakefield's fine. Virginia Beach, you're good at the moment. As we take another look at the radar and also the surface map, there's a lot of severe weather popping in South Carolina, which lines up with that line of low pressure, that trough. Still some storminess popping, as we mentioned, in Bertie County. So what's going on? Now, there's a lot of people wondering, why are these dew points so high? I had a nice little email exchange with Jeff Orrock. He's the MIC. Again, we love to use acronyms in weather. What's an MIC? Meteorologist in charge, right? Kind of like the chief in Wakefield. And he made the point that we had so much rain. We had so much rain earlier on this summer that it usually, you get all that water in the soil, it tends to cause these raging dew points to come up. And all this rain, I mean, look at the numbers. Numbers don't mislead you there. We've already had 4.19, right? We averaged 4.5 for the month. So when you look at this, 1.34, this was, I believe this was Father's Day weekend. We had a lot of rain. So some of these dew points may be up a little bit, given the fact that we had so much rain earlier on. When you go into a dry spell, he noted that that's sometimes what happens. Now, if you look at the numbers, we hit 95, I mentioned that. Also want to draw your attention that the record high up here is 1952. That was when Harry S. Truman was president 73 years ago. So we didn't hit a record, but when it felt like 104, the temptation is to say, well, it felt like a record to me. I understand that. It's perception. Just like wind chill in wintertime, it's about how it feels, but it doesn't change the properties of whether water freezes. If the temperature's 36, but the wind chill's 32, water is not going to freeze because it feels like it should freeze. Does that make sense? It's kind of a weird way to explain it, but it is a consumer-driven parameter, the heat index, just as the same way as wind chill is. Because we got wind engineers that tell us, yeah, this is what it should feel like. And when you look at the monthly numbers, we're now 14 to 11. Above normal numbers here, and I'll circle that over here, above normal numbers have come on strong because we've had, 93, 94, 94. No wonder people are tired. We had an 88 day on Saturday, but really since this week began, it's been brutal. Some of it's like, oh, I'm ready for a change. And I've got some good news when I get you to the 7-day here in just a moment. By the way, if you're keeping score, playing the home game version, we did hit 91 on April 6th. People thought, man, when we hit 90 May 1st, it's going to be really hot. But then it pulled back, much like the tide at oceanfront. It goes in ebbs and flows. We had a very cool end to May, And then we've had like a strong showing of 90-degree days in June. Today was 95. May actually squeeze down a 96 because I think we were at 95 the last 2 hours. But it is now just about 7:55. If you look at these numbers, we typically see 8 days in June, and we have more June left. We got a lot of June left, so don't rule this out. This is going to be an above average period, and we can expect, by history standards, we typically get 15 days. I'm rounding up. 15 days in July, which would be almost half the month, is typically 90 plus. So we still have a lot of summer left, but maybe a pullback will be on the offering. By the way, if you haven't noticed, we have a great first warning weather app called News 3. I encourage you to download it. It's free. If you pair that or have that in conjunction with the No Weather Radio, that way you keep the notifications coming. And I think it's very important to do that. Plus, I would also encourage you to watch us on the evening news. We're on it 4, 5, 6, 10, 11. Whatever news you want on the TV side, we'd like to serve you that way as well. Another way we can serve you, I mean, literally like serve you, is like free cheesy bread. Oh, I knew you were going to go there. Marco's Pizza is a great partner to First Warning Live. They are offering you cheesy bread. Promo code, you go to marcos.com, is WTKR cheesy. It's like, I have to pay for something. No, you don't. No, you don't. What you do need to go to is one of the 5 stores over here, because they're the ones that are going to give you the free cheesy bread, assuming you have the promo code. There's 3 in Virginia Beach, 1 in Chesapeake, Greenbrier neighborhood, and Hampton Boulevard, Norfolk, Virginia. And if you would like to win, I don't know who wouldn't, all you have to do, you could win free pizza for a year if you go to our website, WTKR.com/Marcos. You may be impressed because we've given, I think, like 35 of these away. We're going to give away 10 single pizzas tomorrow, plus a winner for the month, for the year. So I mean, we're giving pizza away like crazy, and I think that's cool because I know that Marcos loves weather, and it does affect a lot of us. When the weather is this hot, you got to stay cool as best you can. I got to keep moving. It's just about 7:56. We talked about the app, talked about the newscast because I'm on the news. You know who I'm on the news with? This cool guy. Is this cool? This is Kurt Williams. You know he's been on the air here for 38 years. Who does that? Kurt does. Kurt knows everybody. And what's cool is I get to work with him on the nightly news, along with Jessica Larche, and I've worked with a great team of people. So I just want you to know that we are here to serve you on the TV side too. As I move toward the beach, we got to get to the beach forecast. The beach forecast expecting tomorrow, super high, UV index 95, surf height 2 feet, and with a low rip current risk. The low tide is going to be about 4:32 in the afternoon. Usually we think of low tide as when rip currents may come about. And certainly we have lifeguards in the area who can guide you in that department too. But being able to swim, as they say, parallel, that's another thing you have to learn when you're rip currents take a lot of people out too. That's another thing. Rip currents, but you'd have to know what the situation is where you are. Some beaches don't have lifeguards, so you have to really know how to break the rip current. Okay, temperature right now, 90 in Virginia Beach, 87 Kitty Hawk, 83 Elizabeth City, 94 right now in Cape Charles. You're throwing the feels like temperature, feels like 108 in Suffolk, feels like 99 in Virginia Beach. Do I have some comments? I think I do. Let's see here. Jessica Lynn is on here. She says, she's got some good comments. I think she says it's almost as hot. Did I get this right? Let's see if I can tell us straight here. She says it's almost as hot as these cheesy breads out here. I like that. Thank you, Jessica. That's Jessica, everybody. Thank you, Jessica. And you know, if you use the promo code, you don't have to pay for it. You mean you're doing that just for our viewers, right? You can share it. There's no harm in that. That's no harm, no foul. Share the promo code with your family, with your neighborhood, like that, and you can get some free cheesy bread before this week is through. Because that promo code is only good this week. Only good until 104 of them have been handed out. And I don't have the intel as to how many they've given out as I speak. But it's about almost 8 o'clock, 7:59. Let's get to the feels like. It's feeling like 101 in Franklin, Wakefield 102, and Williamsburg 104. You know Williamsburg? Did you know this? They have a whiskey and wine weekend this weekend. So if that's something you're doing, I would encourage you to consider grabbing maybe. Let's see if I come back up here. Over here. It's way over here. I got to grab my Scripps water. If you're going, grab a water bottle too, because having water is great. I mean, if you're going to do the alcohol thing, whiskey and wine, not going to stay hydrated. But I encourage you to go out and be social. That's one thing. Be social. There's also, I think, there's like a K-pop dance party in Virginia Beach this Friday. So if you like to dance, you like to do fun stuff, you may want that water bottle just to get through the upcoming events, because it's going to be hot again this weekend. Let's keep moving, because I know I got to keep on schedule. It's just about 8 o'clock. Our dew points are in the 60s and 70s now. 78 in Chesapeake. Anytime it's above 70, it's sticky. Extra sticky all across the board. 80 in Hatteras right now. That's some very humid air, while we have a 74 dew point in Virginia Beach. So keep in mind, what we're dealing with now is going to continue on in the days to come. Dew point forecast. Is it really any different? 74, 75, 76. It's like academic, I guess. That's one way to look at it, but it's unpleasant. Our current temperatures right now, 90 in Knoxville. East Tennessee, way to represent the 90s. That's where you are right now. A little bit of 90 in Virginia Beach. It's like in Simpatico or something of that. They're both 90. I spent 15 years in Knoxville, and I've been in Virginia Beach and Norfolk now, Chesapeake now, for about 4 months. So keep in mind, temperatures can vary, but sometimes what you see out west can work its way here the following day. And talking about west, it's not that hot in Denver. It's not that hot in Rapid City, South Dakota. They're in the low 70s right now, and you can clearly see this area of the country is experiencing an entirely different air mass than the one around the Mississippi River. So anything about east of the Mississippi is blazing hot, it's stifling hot, and that's just kind of where things are at the moment. If you got a comment, let me know. I'm going to do my best to share your notes. Oh, I got Derek Getter, forecaster Derek Getter, just got my free cheesy bread using the code WTKR cheesy. Thank you, Dave. My pleasure. Derek, I love the fact that she's utilizing it. It's for all to take part in. And we got a note from Denmark. Thank you, Denmark, for sharing. I got the best weather team here. Denmark, Ed Reeves says, I've done that too, trying anything for a few degrees difference. I think some folks are still discussing how best to do that. Jamal is here. He wants to give a shout out. I think he's to his mom. Shout out to my mom, made it on live again. You know, I used to do this a lot, like 6 years before I came here, and people would like, could you wish my bride a happy anniversary? And it was like, I was getting birthday wishes. It's fun. Make it fun. That's what it's about. I hope people will participate. That's what it's all about. And we'll keep it lighthearted as best we can, because I know some people long for this summer to arrive because they had 10 or 11 inches of snow, right? February 19th. We had all that snow, and I came here 2 days after that. I still saw the mounds of snow, but for those of you that were here, February 19th, you had a lot of snow in Virginia Beach and Norfolk. That was just kind of the way it goes. Now we're still above normal through the 4th of July. I wanted to show you this. I expect we'll be back to normal as close as we can by July 2nd. When is that? That's Wednesday. That's a week from today. Some of the hot colors out west, I'm looking at the four corners of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. They're very, very hot, but there's likely to be somewhat of a pullback. You can see some of the yellow coloring in Maine. There are some modeling that would suggest that we're going to cool back maybe upper 80s. That sounds cool to me. Upper 80s with probably it feels like in the low 90s. But even that would be better, by some standards, maybe better than what we're dealing with right now. So my expectation is that we're just 9 days away from Independence Day. Are you keeping track? Because I am. I just think that people look forward to the holidays, whether it be Memorial Day, Independence Day, Juneteenth, whatever holiday you look forward to. Clearly, we like to work around it with the weather. We know the weather can kind of determine how we might enjoy the outdoors. So our planner, another hot day tomorrow. It is now 8:03. 8:03, 83 at 8, 91 at noon, 95 at 4. So keep in mind, this is not going to get any better in the short term. I kept trying to suggest that because when you look at the big picture, 95 is still going to feel like about 105. You're going to get winds about 5 to 15, and we already talked about there could be some isolated severe storms, much like happened to be Bertie and Chowan County. Tomorrow, it could be a different set of counties, or it might not be at all for you. It's really kind of like a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. I have us with hazy sun and clouds at 87 degrees. It doesn't cool down. This whole idea that I'm going to get up early and it's going to be cool, you get disappointed when you don't get below 80. I believe this morning we were 81 was our low this morning. I was expecting 80. It doesn't get better. It's tough. Upper 70s at best tonight, but even still, it's a tough pill to swallow, so to speak, if you're not a fan of heat. 94, 95 for this weekend. I mentioned some events, the K-pop dance party, Dave & Buster's, Williamsburg Whiskey and Wine weekend. Maybe you're participating in some outdoor activities yourself this weekend. Temperatures are not going to cool much. They're going to still be in the 90s, and the heat index still close to and well north of 100, about 103, 105, which begs the question, when they say extreme heat warning, that's up to 110. A heat advisory, the Weather Service will issue if it feels like 108. Now, my last check, 110, 108, that's just 2 degrees difference. Do you see why I'm saying it's just academic? You got to be prepared that this is going to be ongoing. Nothing magical, the fact that it's now past 8 o'clock and the extreme heat warning technically has been allowed to expire. Chance of rain for the next 5 days, 30% tomorrow, 30% on Friday, and 20% on Saturday. And you can see the rain forecast doesn't really scream loud or big numbers, because when it rains it can pour, but this would just suggest on average maybe a tenth to a quarter inch through 5 o'clock on Friday. If you've got another note, let me know. We're looking at the regional numbers. I see some other notes that are coming in, some of my equipment falling over here. My light. I got a note here. I guess, do I have this right? Where is the best moderate place to go? I don't know, I guess maybe, was that the question? Maybe a library, maybe a grocery store. If that's the question, I want to be able to answer it. Let's see, Kim is on here. Let me say hi to Kim. She's also noting that she's got, I need lower temps, she says. I need lower temps and less humidity. I'll put in the request. I'm just the messenger. I love to say that, the weather's not a vending machine, although we like to say that. We say, oh, I want great weather on Saturday, and if it's going to rain on Monday, okay. But, it's not like that. But I'll take that into consideration. I'll do my best when you see the 7th day, and let me know, Kim, if we met your expectation, because I do think it will get a little bit better on day 7 and day 8. We get closer to Independence Day. That'll be day number 9. Here's the Eastern Shore, Thursday, very high UV index is a 10. Onancock 92, Saxis 92, and if you're in Cape Charles tomorrow, look for a high around 90. How about the Outer Banks? Duck 89, that's not too bad. 91 for Nags Head and Manio, and if you're down in Rodanthe, look for a high about 91, but Ocracoke and Hatteras should be around 87 for an afternoon high temperature. The Storm Prediction Center want to revisit this because I know we have military. A lot of folks in this area have family everywhere and everywhere or anywhere. If you look at the colors, this is isolated, dark green, scattered, yellow, and enhanced or numerous in orange. We've had a couple of orange areas added in South Carolina and Georgia. Parts of it is in North Carolina, but this is through what time? 8 o'clock tomorrow. So if you have family in Nebraska, scattered severe storms, possibly up to Waterloo, Iowa, south of Minneapolis. Chicago could get isolated storms, but really now, through tomorrow morning, it's the Charlotte area and Columbia where they could be dealing with scattered severe storms, if not numerous in orange. Isolated in Tampa if you're from Florida, if you got family there. And back home, we've already established the severe weather we saw moving across parts of Edenton or maybe south toward Chowan County and into Bertie County. The severe weather threat tomorrow, we'll have Great Falls, Montana, isolated there. Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay could have some isolated severe storms, as could Tampa. And in areas in the southeast, you can see the Knoxville area. This is actually East Tennessee, where I'd been for 15 years. This includes Rockwood, Morristown, Del Rio, the Great Smoky Mountains, including Athens, Kyles Ford, Sneedville. You may have some isolated severe storms tomorrow. It includes Atlanta, it includes Columbia, South Carolina, and it includes, as I mentioned, areas west of Elizabeth City for Thursday. Now, as we jump ahead to Friday, you got plans, you're planning a weekend. You will find some scattered severe storms likely in the Fargo, Bismarck, Aberdeen area. That's why they're colored yellow. If we fly back to the southeast, it's Tampa to Atlanta for isolated severe storms on Friday. And we can include Charleston, West Virginia. We can include Roanoke. We can include Raleigh and Charlotte and even Knoxville on Friday. East Tennessee is colored green for some isolated severe storms on Friday, but that cuts takes Exmoor, Virginia Beach, and Elizabeth City out of the mix for the weather. Even Edenton looks improved on Friday. It looks like it's mainly west of you. So as we look at this futurecast, I want to show you this. This is just one solution. We call it this is the graph model, and sometimes they don't always have a good initialization point. So if we have storms right now in between Williamsburg and Franklin, this is supposed to be at 9 o'clock, great. I mean, then it lines up. But most of what we've seen so far is further south. So I'm going to go ahead and play this through. this would suggest whatever is out there now, by 11 o'clock, it's gone. So you'll be able to sleep easier. I guess if it's humid, maybe not. But I mean, you won't have storms to work through if we have these disappear before 11 o'clock. 7 a.m. tomorrow, mostly sunny. By about midday tomorrow, we start to see things start to bubble up, like watching water boil. You get these little spots, right, of rain, and they could produce some locally heavy rain. Some of that begins to work its way up towards 64 and up toward Williamsburg. And then we move into about 11 o'clock tomorrow night. It settles down once again. And then it's a lather, rinse, repeat situation on Friday. So Friday might be in the Norfolk area, maybe further up toward the peninsula. So we'll have to wait and see. But it really doesn't look all that impressive in the next couple of days as far as area-wide rain. It is 8:10. I got to keep moving. Thursday morning, upper 70s for Southside, Peninsulas, and North Carolina. Highs tomorrow will be back into the 90s, about 92 for Virginia Beach. I'm expecting 96 for Elizabeth City, Portsmouth, Suffolk 97, Ahoskie 97, and about 95 for Norfolk, about 92 for Melfa, Matthews, about 93 degrees. And by the afternoon, those 30% chance of storms could again produce some locally heavy rain. And here is your first warning, WTKR News 3 7-day forecast. 92 Friday, 94 Saturday, 95 Sunday. What I really wanted to draw your attention to is this one right here. Ready? I'm going to circle it right in here. 88 degrees. Well, that's normal. Yeah, but it comes with a price. 60% chance of showers and storms. So it's going to probably still be humid. That's as evidenced by the fact that the low is 74. But temperatures will get back maybe to a more tolerable level than where they are now, because they are off the chart. When you've got lows in the mid to upper 70s like you have right in here, it makes it very, very taxing to be outside. No question about that. I got a note from Edith. Hello, Edith. Let's get you on the screen. She says hello as I clear off my telestrator. She's saying hello, this August weather, LOL. Yeah, it is August weather. It's come early. It's come early, but because of the trend that I'm seeing, Edith, I think there's a good chance that we could get a little bit cooler in time for the holiday. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's going to be like spring cool or as cool as we had in February when it was cold, but something maybe closer to normal that would be easier to digest. That's my expectation. But thank you, Edith, for that update. I'm going to keep moving here because I wanted to show you some of the, we like to call happy shots. This is James City County from Lori. Lori mentioning the silos. I think it's beautiful. And then we got Tammy Penny from James City County capturing a great picture where she was. And last but not least, here's from Lee, James City County. From Lee, he's got some great pictures. Might have been maybe a little bit touched up there, but I like it all the same because it kind of advertises what a beautiful place this is to be here. So if you're visiting from out of town, maybe you're in the military, come back to Virginia Beach, come back to Chesapeake Bay, Eastern Shore, and the Outer Banks because we'd love to see you. And you could wave to me and say hi on First Warning Live with Marco's Pizza. So that would be cool. Speaking of which, we've got the Pizza for a Year certificate we'll be giving away tomorrow, plus 10 individual pizzas. We have the cheesy bread, first 104 out the door. There won't be any more. So no purchase necessary. Use the promo code WTKR Cheesy. And where else can we go? I just want to mention these are the 5 contest locations. There are Marcos all over Tidewater. There are Marcos.com locations all over Hampton Roads. But these are the 5 that are participating in the giveaways. The free pizza for a year and the cheesy bread. So you want to make note of that. Okay, want to kind of highlight some stuff here. I know it's 8:13. I'm going to wrap up as quickly as I can. But we were talking about call to action. When we were talking about, lifeguards do it all the time. You got to get out of the water. Some people do, some people don't. When a tornado warning is issued, you got to get into your safe space. Some people do it, some people don't. And as I want to go back here and show you this picture, this is of course the 7-day, but beyond that I wanted to show you the sad statistics over the last 10 years. This is from NOAA. If you didn't see this before, I'll just kind of highlight the last 10 years from NOAA. Averages 238. Heat, I say this again, heat kills more people than all of them, right? I mean, flood is like more than twice flood. We always talk about turn around, don't drown, and that's a serious item. But rip currents is number 3. Are you kidding me? No wonder we want to give our props to our local lifeguards because they're on the front lines making sure people know how to break the rip. But tornadoes is another thing. And I did a little talk the other day, to come back on camera, where some people were like, oops, got to take that off. Hello. So you're a little hard on the mobile homes, aren't you? What do you know about mobile homes? You've never been in one. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. See, I've talked a little bit about my family, right? This is my mom and dad. My mom has a younger brother. So come back on camera. She has only one sibling, my Uncle Jim, because he was a junior. We called him Uncle June. It was weird. But he lived in Land O'Lakes, Florida, Tampa. And doesn't live there now, but he rented a mobile home. He worked in a local newspaper called The Laker. And for many years, my brother, I was like 12, 13, my brother a little older, we would go down to his mobile home and we would spend the night. And he was renting it from someone who had lots of Florida orange trees. So imagine you're in an orange grove, right, in a trailer, and he had style. My Uncle June had a hot tub. So we would wake up and he had a huge St. Bernard named Addie would lick my face. So I'd go out and get some orange, pick some fresh oranges, make some orange juice, get in the hot tub, and we'd go fishing in Florida. This is when I was 12 years old. As fond as those memories are, I wouldn't want to be in that mobile home or even a manufactured home during a tornado warning. It's not safe. We know that. 48 people on average die each year. Now here's why I want to really flip this on its head. Ready? Mobile homes are not safe. They're not designed to withstand tornadic winds. Now, in my other line of work, I can't believe I just said that. In my other line of work, mobile homes, well, trailers, they're a status symbol. Now you really lost me. Oh, you were an actor, right? Yeah, I was. Getting a honey wagon trailer with your name on it was a real status symbol, right? Because we were talking about Matlock. Why not talk about Matlock? Because this is the magazine that Andy was reading in my episode in 1993. Well, I thought it's funny because Kurt Williams happened to be on the magazine. He was in year 6 of his employment here. He's been here since 1987. He knows a lot of people, right? That's Kurt Williams on the bottom left of the News 3 magazine that Andy's reading in my episode. Now, I was going back this weekend looking at some old pictures because, I was a struggling actor. This is me trying to get into the showbiz world. And here's me with Kim Walker and Matlock's daughter. Well, she was played, I guess, Leanne McIntyre, but this was Bryn Thayer. So if you look at real closely, the young lady on the left, you might know her from the movie Heathers. I don't know if you remember Heathers. We come back to here. It was a Christian Slater movie, and she actually went to high school with him. I didn't know this at the time, but she went to high school with Christian Slater, and she went to high school with Jennifer Aniston. Now think about this. This picture that I'm showing you here is from 1993. What happened to Jennifer Aniston in 1994? She did Friends? Yes, right? So it was like really cool to get a speaking part on a Matlock episode. In the book I was reading, Kim Walker, of course, I read she roommated with Jennifer Aniston, went to high school with those two, but she was in this movie called Heathers. It was a dark comedy from 1988 where all the popular girls were named Heather. She was playing Heather Chandler. What's tragic is, I didn't realize this either until you rewind the tape, when you're in a trailer, because that's why I was going, I would have a place to change. I would get my script. I'd have my clothes pressed. I thought this was a status symbol, right? So I'm not disparaging anybody who happens to live in a trailer. My Uncle June did it for many years. But when you're a movie star, right, when the film crew for Matlock starts dropping off their tractor trailers, it takes hours to set up. There's a lot of setup going on where they have to set up the lights, pull out the equipment, and there's a lot of standing around. So what they prefer you to do is go back to your trailer, learn your lines, because when they say action, you got to be able to go and be ready to go, right? There's no redo, no overdo. And to think about this, I want you to see this picture. You see these colored pictures? This is the script. Andy Griffith had to learn a stack of lines for each episode. And with the network that was going on, the network had their demands. They were doing one episode a week. Andy did 193 episodes, plus a pilot movie, from my understanding, from what I read, and only 1 or 2 episodes had the Kurt Williams on the magazine. Is that weird? I thought it was weird. I thought, then there's something special about Kurt that maybe I should follow his lead, because he spent a lot of time this last year talking about his struggle with prostate cancer. And he got an Emmy for the award because many men have come to get tested thanks to Kurt's vulnerability. That's really what it is being vulnerable. So I talked about the importance of getting out of a mobile home. I know a little bit about more than I thought, but But I thought, it's weird because when you're in the acting business, it's a status symbol. You get your name on the Honey Wagon trailer. You can read the scripts. The colors of these scripts are so funny because they're constantly doing rewrites. So you have to make sure you memorize some lines. And they say, did you get the rewrite? You got to make sure you have the green sheets or the pink sheets. They kept changing. And Andy had to keep track of all that. They were constantly tweaking the script. And by the time you got called to the set, they were like on a walkie-talkie. Said, okay, we're ready for Mr. Aldrich. Come on out. We're ready for you. I got interviewed by the young lady, interviewed by Matlock's daughter on the right. She'd been in, I think, about 37 episodes. But having a trailer, I believe that was her, I think that's her name, her TV name, Leanne McIntyre. But if you were like, Andy was like in a double wide. That was cool. And then he would read his scripts and he'd come on the set and everybody was in awe. Because one of the stories I have not shared with too many people is that even when you're setting up the lights and all things, camera action, they were still in need of Andy. Said, Andy, would you read this public service announcement? And I was like, well, I'm watching this at UNCW. I was in the auditorium, and they were like childhood cancer. There were just stacks of public service announcements. He's having to learn all his lines for his episode. He's on a movie set, TV show, but they were still needing him. Because just like Dolly Parton's voice is iconic, Andy Griffith's voice, iconic. They wanted him to help out, and that's who he was. He was always giving back, whether it be Manio, whether he was giving back to the community, giving back to his neighborhood. So I share these stories. There are others I'll share with you a little bit later, but I just wanted to give you a little heads up. Know that heat is a big killer, and know that rib currents is number 3. So as you plan your summer vacation, make sure you take care of each other. And when I come back, we'll talk more about the severe weather, maybe for tomorrow. If there's anything that pops up, I'll give you the very latest. In the meantime, doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or serious. Remember, every day is a gift. Make the most of it in your neighborhood. Take care.